Thanks very much, Anne-Marie and panellists. It is heating up in here, but it is time for our fireside chat. Trent Dalton's book, Lola in the Mirror, is an urban fairy tale about an unnamed girl who lives with her mother in an abandoned, rusty car. They like to think they're not homeless, but houseless. And Trent says he based characters from the books he met on people he met during many years he spent at Third Space. And Lesley Leece is, of course, the chief executive of Third Space, which is a daytime drop-in centre where people experiencing or are at risk of homelessness in Brisbane can find support, dignity and hope. Trent and Lesley, hello. Welcome. They have no switch, you just hold them up.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for having
take
me.
it away.
You amazing people. You are changing this state and we love you for everything you do. So thank you.
Hi Trent, really good to see you again and nice to be here with you on the stage. To start off this session, we're just going to play a short video, I believe. Welcome to Third Space. My name is Lesley Leece and I'm the CEO of the organisation, which has been coming up for its 50th year. We provide services to people who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of becoming homeless. Please come with me, let me show you around. We can have 100 to 120 people come to the service every day of the week. This is our cafe, which provides meals from 8:30 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. Very nutritious meals cooked by wonderful Andy, who is our chef. It's lovely for people to be able to come in and get the dignity of some nice warm food.
So in here we find out whether the people are cooking or non-cooking in regards to if they have a place where they stay or they're sleeping rough. So we have to give them the right products that they're able to eat, heat or whatever they need to do. These are the products that we source weekly through Oz Harvest, Second Bite and through purchasing that we do here as well.
Here we have available for people a laundry where people can wash their clothes. Going further into the centre, we have a notice board, so we advertise lots of things that people can get involved in during the day. We have a beautiful garden here which is called the Hope Garden, and it is in memory of a gentleman who died a couple of years ago and his last name was Hope, but it also has the secondary meaning of providing hope in people's lives. So we have lawyers, we have partnership with Anglicare for nurses 5 days a week, we have a GP on site, we have NDIS come here, all sorts of services come here and meet with people in a place that they feel is safe and okay for them to be in.
Third Space means to me the community's coming together in one place and it's providing that help to people that are probably having some of the worst days in their life.
I feel the relief for people who are coming into the space. I love working on reception because you're sort of at the coalface of where they might want to triage to.
Third Space is a place that I can have a job that I feel like coming back to every day. It's much better than just a dreary office job.
I believe in Third Space. I believe in what Third Space does, what it does for people, help them to find accommodation, help them to find a life they never had when they're on the street.
Third Space is very, very important to me. I was introduced to Third Space by my girlfriend Linda, whom I'd been searching for 10 years. They were helping her. And I was very, very fortunate that Trent Dalton wrote her story in The Australian, and I will always be grateful to Trent for doing that.
It's not just related to housing, that's a real important part of it, but some people just need a space where they can just be who they are, get some free food and have a chat, and we're always up for that.
We do have successes and every success we celebrate, and I wouldn't swap my job for anything in the world, even the bad days.
And it means life, in my way of saying it, through a poem and a prayer and a promise of something being something better than I had when I was living homeless.
Thanks very much. That tells you a little bit about Third Space. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's the beginnings. So Trent, you've had a lot to do with Third Space over the years and we're very pleased that you are now our ambassador. Yeah. It's wonderful. So I'm wondering, your latest book, Lola in the Mirror, what inspired and motivated you to write in the way that you did about the experience of homelessness for a young woman in Brisbane?
Oh, that's everything. That's an everything question. Yeah, I'll go deep because I just think it's important with the incredible people in the room. So sorry if this goes too deep, but it's the deepest story I've got, Lesley. It's I find I often write from very deep places, and it's the best place to write from, often truth. So I'll just tell you this quick story about where Lola in the Mirror comes from, and I don't often tell this, but it's an important story to tell, given even just what we were talking about, what we were listening to, that amazing panel just before, is everything that Lola is about. But I don't know if anyone saw, if you saw, Lesley bought this book I wrote called Boy Swallows Universe, and they made a TV show out of it, and that's wholly based on truth, and it's about this time where basically, my mum fell in love. Well, I really like talking about how people can find themselves homeless and talking about the full picture of a backstory that might put someone homeless, and see how so often it's not necessarily about drugs and alcohol. Those things might keep you there, but for example, there's someone very dear to me who was briefly homeless, and I'll try and tell you how, but that story starts, it's kind of essentially my mum, and but that starts like in Sydney in like the 60s. That story, where mum's like one of 7 kids and she's one of the eldest daughters. Her old man runs off on her and she's left to help look after the kids. She gets tired of doing that, after like 8 years, and at about the age of 17, she takes off, hitchhikes her way to Brisbane, meets my dad on the highway, and they fall in love. That man, my dad, is like he's dead now, he remains the most beautiful man I've ever met in my life, but he was a shocking drinker. Mum takes off one night with 4 kids in tow, finds herself in one of those wonderful women's shelters here in this beautiful city of ours, who take her in. She meets a woman there who says, "Come and hang with me." She goes and hangs out at her house. At that house, she meets a heroin dealer. And he becomes kind of the first father figure I've ever met. A guy called Lyle in the TV show Boy Swallows Universe, played by Travis Fimmel. But what's not in that show, and what happened from there is like that guy happened to be this really successful heroin dealer and did it for like 10 years and then got put away for about 10 years in Boggo Road Men's Prison. Mum goes away for 2 years. Us boys go back to live with Dad, and he raises us boys for the next, all through until I'm about 17, over in a housing commission place in Bracken Ridge on the north side of Brisbane. What isn't in the Boy Swallows Universe story is the deepest story I've got to tell, and it's the Lola story. So sorry for the long answer, Lesley, but it's a really important one. Yeah.
We really want to hear about Lola.
Oh, great. Well, what I didn't tell in that story is that, Mum did her time, and it's harrowing time. Like you ask any hardened male criminal who's like, doing 20 years, he will tell you that a mum's time in prison is infinitely harder because they've often got kids they love outside that they're literally dying to see, And it was a hard 2 years for Mum, but wasn't as hard as the subsequent sort of 1990s. So Boy Swallows Universe was about the 1980s. Mum's 1990s was infinitely worse. She got out, went to an incredible halfway house in Highgate Hill, which was filled with women who were getting themselves, they'd just come out of prison. Was run by an incredible woman named Sister Bernice, with the help of the incredible Karen Walsh, who's standing up the back there, and Father Peter Kennedy, who's just an icon of Brisbane. And I've got 3 older brothers, Joel, Ben, Jesse, Trent, and we would go visit Mum in this halfway house. And it was an incredible time reuniting with this beautiful Mum who looked like Kylie Minogue in the late 80s. And, didn't deserve to be behind bars, but did deserve, because she did the wrong thing and did a time, did a redemption, all of that. It's not uncommon for a woman in that situation to find herself in need of a home, to get access on the weekends to see her children. So it's not uncommon for people like my mum, and I totally understand, to quickly fall in love with the wrong guy. And she fell in love with this guy who was all charming and, on the face of it, pretty sort of nice, big guy, huge, she went out with for a time, fell in love with, and then the guy soon showed his true colours. Incredibly violent, narcissistic, complete arsehole who haunted my dreams until about the age of, I'm 45 now. He haunted my dreams until about 3 weeks ago. This is what these people do. It's a fact. And one night, Mum escaped Lesley. Mum ran. And she ran to a Telstra phone box. It was nighttime in the suburbs. No one was around. She was just about to dial 000, and this giant burst through the Telstra phone box and strangled my mum. Wrapped his hands around my mum's neck and all but killed her. Left her as a bag of bones on the concrete floor of this Telstra phone box. And my mum was done, Lesley. Like, she was just done with life because she'd survived the worst time. Like, Boggo Road Women's was no fun trip, you know. And she got out of that only to sort of think it's all good, only to it be worse. And she tells the story that she's down on that concrete thing, just ready to like take, you know, like if I continue to not get my breath back, I'm fine with it. One thing made her stand back up again, Lesley, and it was the absurd, ridiculous notion that one day one of her sons might do something worth sticking around for. Sorry, I'm not going to make it through this talk, but she gets back up, she calls 000, and the cops come, right? So we're so much better, thankfully. I hope you guys would probably know this better than I do. I think we're better at this than they were in the early 90s. These two cops come, and they said, "I'm sorry, there is nowhere for you to go. The DV shelters, we don't have that many, they're full. You have two options," and this is what they dead set told my mum. "We advise you, it's in our opinion, you have two options. You can be homeless, and this is what we advise you, go back to the monster and find strategies, find ways not to agitate him."
As if those are options.
That's what they said. Exactly, Lesley, exactly. She went back, and she went back for like 4 years of hell, just to see her boys, just to see us. And, I just find that just the most incredibly brave, beautiful, human kind of beautiful thing. You know, she did it for love. And that always, we knew that. As boys out at Bracken, we knew what Mum was doing, as she's not telling us what she's enduring throughout the weeks, and we seen her every second Saturday or whatever, and catching the 522 bus in the city to go see Mum. And this cool thing happened. This beautiful older brother of mine becomes a man. Joel becomes a man, and he's got a yellow Gemini, and he's like, comes to us all. So Joel's like 17, 18, Ben's 16, Jesse's 14, I'm like 13. And we all pile into Joel's yellow Gemini. We go around to Barden, is where this guy was living on Ruin Road near the Toowong Cemetery. Joel knocks on the front door and he's like, "Enough, we're taking Mum." And this giant, who's like hopped up on speed or something really nasty, just loses his mind, runs at Joel. Joel tackles him like Wally Lewis under the armpits and just drives him into the front yard. And then the beautiful thing about having 4 sons, it means 1 son per limb. And we held him down for like half an hour, waiting for the cops to come in this front yard in Barden. And you drive past this house, you know, thousands of people drive past this guy's house. And we held him there. And then it was maybe mid to late 90s by then. Maybe we were better at it. And the police took Mum away to a DV shelter. And then the city of Brisbane, I'm talking all of you people and the agencies you represent, the communities you represent, the shelters you represent, wrapped their arms around my mum. This city just didn't know my mum from a bar of soap, and Lifeline furnished a housing assistance sort of agency, got her some rental assistance to get a place in Everton Park. You know, St Vinny's or Lifeline furnished that home. another place, some amazing Centrelink workers got her some work. She became a stop-go woman for like 10 years. What I'm trying to say is I just thank you all for the work you do, and I see you so passionately talking on these panels, and it was just so moving to me, and to think that the city of Brisbane, enabled my mum to not be homeless, because that was her option, Lesley, and it terrified me at about the age of 44, thinking, holy shit, in 2024, there's just no doubt mum would have been homeless. There's just no doubt about it. And no doubt, mind you, I'm not even telling the story of what was going on for the Dalton boys. My dad was renting a place in Bracken Ridge for $50 a week. It was $50 a week to house 4 teenage sons. I don't think we'd even get that house. It would rightly go to a much more needy family, like people with disability issues or who knows what, would be much more deserving of it than we would. And we'd be living in Dad's high ace, I think. He had this rusted, dodgy high ace. I don't know what we would have done, or maybe begged one of Dad's sisters to sort of take us all in or something. And it really hit home to me, Lesley, just how we are all but one or two steps of misfortune away from homelessness. And it was really hitting home. I saw the tents coming back. I saw the tents coming back down to West End. My favourite parts of Brisbane are walking along literally where my book takes place. So it's the story of a girl whose mum's on the run from violence. She's on the run from her monster, and she's done something. She's done something out of desperation that she shouldn't have done, but she did it, and she's taken this girl with her, and she gets taken in by the homeless community of Brisbane. They find a family of sorts among the West End homeless community, but the deeper part of it is me, the deeper part, what happened after that, where, mum goes to that DV shelter that night and the Dalton boys go home, and we're just like, I'm gonna kill that fucking guy. I'm gonna kill him. And us joking about it, but not joking about it. And then my brother's sort of saying to me, what if you've seen Boy Swallows Universe, the kid just spends the whole time crying. That's me, honestly. I was total waterworks as a kid. My brothers were the tough ones. And they were just like, as if you could ever kill him, Trent. You're like the weakest of us all. And I'm like, I will. I'm going to kill him one day. And I swear to God, I used to have this dream, Lesley, where I'd hop in this car. I'd have this constant dream where I'd hop in a car. Whatever dream I'm having, if it's just like whatever dream I'm ever escaping from something, I end up hopping in a car, and I slip into the car, and I think I'm getting away, but the driver of the car is this fucking guy from 1995, and it kept coming back, just always, I talked to my brothers about it. You think about that guy, and he's haunted all of us, this mofo, but I want you to know. I made him the villain in 3 fiction books. I've totally turned him into the villain. And I want you to know, genuinely, and it's more than 3 weeks. It was about 6 months ago I realised, I really haven't dreamed about him in a while. So what I want to tell you is I killed the monster.
Well done.
That's a really long answer, I'm sorry.
So a little bit more about Lola. She's a very interesting character, having read your book, and she initially doesn't really know who she is, and she's trying to find that out, isn't she? Throughout the book, she's trying to figure out who this person is and where she's come from, because her mum carries this secret, and carries that secret. Unfortunately, Lola never gets to know. But what does she get to know?
Well, it's amazing you say that, Lesley, because I had the great fortune, in 2008, I was a journo for the Courier Mail. I often write from life things, like when my dad died, I wrote a lot of stories about funeral halls and death. And then, when I had a baby, I wrote a lot of stories about being a new dad. And then I had a vasectomy once, I wrote a story about having a vasectomy. It's just everything can be processed in print, And I had it in the I've got 8 people who are my, jump in front of the bus for people. And one of these people found himself homeless in Sydney for about 6 months. And I just didn't have anything I could do about it. And one thing I could do, though, I remember I just came up with this ridiculous notion that I'd go homeless, in sort of, the similar to some sort of father wearing a bloody pregnancy suit or something. You know, it's just some ridiculous thing. What can I do? I'll just try and see what it feels like, and I'll write a story about it. It's a flawed notion, as I soon found out after I walked into this amazing place, Third Space, and one of the amazing workers there said, and I begged in front of Tiffany's jewellery store down at Queen's Plaza. I did all sorts of, I set myself like a task of no money in my pockets. Can I rely on the city of Brisbane to get through 5 days? And it was like, let me tell you, I was shit scared. I didn't sleep at night, and I was looking for a place to sleep, and that's where I found Third Space, because Third Space has the amazing day beds where you can basically make it through the night and catch some Z's in the day beds at Third Space. But I'll never forget this manager. It was about two managers before the amazing Lesley came in, and he just said, "This is bullshit, because you will never know what it feels like, because every person in here, or most of them, you have what they don't." And I was like, oh, you know, I thought he was about to rattle off, oh, shelter, ready access with a pretty well-stocked fridge. And I thought he was going to say something like that. And he said, love. He said, the hardest thing everyone in this place is dealing with is the sense that they're not loved. And it was like, and he goes, you've got a wife and 2 little kids you're going to go back to after this little experiment. He goes, what I'd love you to do is come back when you're done with this dodgy story. And I wrote that story up. It was okay. And, you know, but he said, please just come back and just listen to their stories. And that became a book we wrote called Detours. It was just a little fundraising book. It went back to Third Space, and it was all about looking at this thing I'm talking about, that it's not necessarily drugs and drink that will put you on the street. We interviewed 20 people from Third Space, and all their stories were vastly different about what was actually the detour moment that set them on the path. And it was often mental health, childhood trauma. Like, I won't even get you started on it. But, so many or just terrible misfortune. An army tank driver goes over a mine, loses his eye, no more work, starts drinking. You know what I mean? But it's not the drink, it's the freaking mine. You know, he's trying to fight for his country, you know, and it was just a really powerful exercise. That turned into a thing called Love Stories, where we went and asked the same people, because at the launch of that book, this incredible woman named Mary came up and said, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm like, what, Mary, what? And she goes, you always talk about the dark stuff about life on the street. You never talk about how I've fallen in love on the street. I shag a guy every second night on the street. I found family on this street, and that became this project called Love Stories. And we set their love stories to live music. It was just an ongoing thing. And then I get a chance to talk to Lesley, and Lesley tells me about, this is 10 years later, and Lesley's arrived, and she's doing incredible things where, like, she's got people from Centrelink coming in, because there's one person's job just to establish identity. Because sometimes the hardest thing on the street is to actually prove who you are. And that just floored me. I was just like, holy shit, that is actually a deep philosophical thing I could thread through a novel. And so, yeah, the whole story is a girl literally trying to prove who she is. You know, she's on the street trying to discover the mystery of herself, and her actually coming to the realization that she can be anyone that she bloody hell wants to be. And that's the whole message of the book. But it was like, Lesley, you asked that question. It came from you. Yeah. So thank you so much. It came from truth and seeing the reality of today.
Now it's my turn to cry, right? We have about 10 minutes left in this session, so I'm wondering whether this is a good moment to open up for questions. Trent, if you're happy to do that.
We've only had 2 questions. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I'm sorry, Lesley.
No, not at all. Yes, Sue.
Hello, Trent. My name is Sue Pope. I'm from Common Ground, Queensland.
Oh.
We operate Brisbane Common Ground.
Bravo.
I don't have a question. I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to say hello. And thank you for using your talent to shine a light on this very dark part of our city and our country.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say how delighted I was to unexpectedly come across in Lola in the Mirror, Daisy Gong, who lives at Brisbane Common Ground.
Hell
so thank you for the shout out and for recognising the work that we do and for all of the work that you do.
Oh, that's an honour, Sue. I'm so glad you noticed. Around this, I did a lot of stories in sort of social justice stuff, and then got to know people like Karen Walsh and saw the amazing work you're doing, Sue. And you got to put that stuff in. And then I personally believe common ground is our way through, and exactly the same way Third Space is. It's this idea of, let's build those homes, let's get those homes built, but it's nothing if you cannot, and Lesley could go on for 2 hours about this, you cannot just put someone who's been on the street for 10 years and go, hey, congratulations, see you later. And Common Ground is there to go, we have all of this assistance. We've got this whole network of ideas and people and to service. And I had the pleasure of meeting, I went to Auckland Writers Festival and seeing Common Ground in Auckland. And it's exactly as cool. And I just get so proud. And so in Lola, there's this incredible woman who plays, it's now been removed, but there used to be the piano just under the sort of Carilpa Bridge. And Daisy's playing this piano and Lola falls in love with this really handsome Harry Styles looking boy as Daisy's playing like Moon River. And it's me trying to get back to, let's remember there's beauty in this city and wonder, and love, and even love,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And it allows me to say something I really always want to say. I often get asked about youth crime, and I say, can you please, and I once spoke to like a room of judges, and I said, when was the last time you've heard the word love inside your courtroom? And it's like, if you can remember the word love in your legislation and your idea making around how we solve all these problems, I promise you it's the way through. If you look at it, I promise you. I mean, I was so close, like, to being just some kid who, well, we all did, actually, don't even get me, the Dalton boys were rats. Like, we were shockers. But we had one thing that certain people in my stories as well, Slim Halliday, Krim, who sort of like my babysitter when I was a kid, no love. Abandonment. Lyle, no love. Kid grew up, raised by a prostitute. His first bed was a drawer in a friggin' chest of drawers. And it was like, no love. Dalton boys had love. My mum, I swear to God, I wish I knew her name. She might be in this room. About 1986, there's like a child welfare worker came to our house, and mum was about to go away and do her time. Dad wasn't equipped to he didn't have a home. Dad was over in the north side just friggin' being Keith Richards, and it looked as though we were going to go into a home, like what they called a home. And this word home was just terrifying to me. I remember hugging this dog once. There was a dog in our backyard, and I hugged this dog, and I went, I don't want to go to a home. It was like the saddest thing, we were terrified of this, like, what the hell does that mean? And I remember my older brother, Joel, just going, they're going to, like, farm us out, like all the Dalton boys who are just rock, a unit. And my mum, like, just begged this child welfare worker, like, just, you do one thing, just keep those boys together, and I like, in answer to your question, it's love and the ability to always, the city of Brisbane enabled us to return to our love, I'm sorry to sound so cheesy, but that's the answer. Like, we had it in spades. Like my dad was a shocker on the drink, but man, every other day, just there, just going, how did footy go? How did, just, I love you so much. I know I'm a bit of a fuck up right now, but I love you so much, and it was just so empowering, and, and then books helped as well. Love and books, yeah.
Further questions or comments? Yes.
Jeff, legend.
I don't know. I heard you say at the start you caught a bit of the session before, and that Selena made the point around importance of fathers, and we haven't heard a lot about that. I can remember seeing I think it was the first book launch of Boy Swallows Universe, was only about a couple of hundred people compared to the thousands you get now for your book launches, but in the CBD. And I can remember saying at that, because my father had just passed away just before that, the beauty of Boys Follows Universe was your father-son relationship. So I'm just interested in what your own fathering journey's gone like over, with everything that's been happening for you. How's it gone, your own fathering journey? Yeah.
Yeah, it's, you do I strongly encourage anyone to do the thing you're terrified of doing. I went to Brighton State School after Mum went away, and we went to the north side. And I remember kids going, "Trent, how come your mum's never at tuck shop?" And I used to make up friggin' lies, Jeff. I used to say she lived in Milwaukee. It's like I must have seen it on Happy Days or something. Like it was like, she lives in Milwaukee. That's why she's never here. And I just didn't have the sort of wherewithal or the courage to go, she's fighting a battle, she's going to win, and she's going to one day be the best friggin' grandma at Grandparents' Day at the Gap. and I just, at the age of 38, I just decided to stop bullshitting and just go, I'm going to let rip and sort of do it in fiction. That's little, just minor bullshit, but really let rip and try and tell that story and go, here's why I love these people. Like I was afraid of telling the world why I love all these people. And the greatest tragedy, Jeff, is that my dad, he died of emphysema. Like he just smoked and read books. That's all he did. And he died of emphysema like before Boy Swallows Universe came out. And it's because the book wouldn't have been the same if he was alive anyway, because I would have softened it. So it was probably for the best that he didn't get to read it, but I wish he did, because his heroes were freaking Steinbeck and Geraldine Brooks, and my books sit among those people, and it's my greatest regret that he never got to see that. But this incredible thing happened about, here's the journey part. So you never know what it's all going to do, because Simon Baker came along, this handsome Hollywood actor came along. My dad in real life looked a bit like Hannibal Lecter, but he didn't look like Simon Baker, like a little bit like a cute Hannibal Lecter, if that's possible. And a lovable Hannibal Lecter was my dad. And Simon Baker comes along, plays that guy, acts his skin out, like brings some real truth to it, like brings some stuff, like he's seen some stuff. And my eldest daughter, Beth, we're watching a Netflix show in our house. There's Beth, myself, my wife Fiona, and our daughter Sylvia. We're all on the lounge, and they're watching this guy, this Papa, they used to call him Papa, my dad, on screen via Simon Baker. And it's a bit where a cop comes to the house. It's sort of similar to what I'm talking. It's everything I'm just talking. This cop comes to the house via a teacher. A cop brings a school sort of guidance counsellor to the house, and they're going to take the boys away, or they're going to split the boys up. And the dad's just going, if you split those boys up, they're fucked. They're gone, and they will be gone, and I'll be gone. It'll all just fall apart. And Beth, she's like 16, and she's got her legs crossed in this armchair, and she's just weeping. And I realised, and I turned, and Fiona and I, we'd looked and we were like, oh shit, we've been so immersed in the show, we haven't seen it's probably traumatising this poor 16-year-old girl who goes to like All Hallows and, knows nothing about heroin dealers and stuff. And she's just weeping. And I just go, hey, Beth, hey, I'll stop it. It's too much, isn't it? It's too sad. And then she just, like cupfuls of tears, just wiping them away. And then she reaches out and grabs my hand and she says, don't you dare stop it, Dad. It's not too sad. It's too beautiful. And it's like, that's where I'm at, as a dad. This thing I was terrified of them even seeing has been the thing that helps them understand their dad, What a beautiful question. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thank you so much, Trent. Excuse me. We have run out of time, but thank you so much for, I'll use your word, bringing some of the beauty of what can be the reality for people, as well as we sometimes in our own selves get a bit immersed in all the doom and gloom, and it's terrible, and we're not doing enough to solve the problem, and all of that is true. But it is lovely to look at it from another angle, from a writer's angle, but also from a lived experience angle, to talk about the beauty of some of the things that happen and the love. The love is there.
Well, I'm so sorry for my rambling because we didn't get to talk about. See, it's so like the world where it's the writers and all the people who's talked the longest and the loudest, and it's all you people in this room who talk the least and who change the world the most. So thank you so much, Lesley. You're amazing. You're a friggin' Brisbane treasure. So thank you. And Third Space, yeah.
Thank you.